Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of CookieCast. Today on CookieCast, it's the Darkest Timeline podcast. So it's just me for the day, and what's going to be happening is it's going to be games, movies, and TV, if that's something that I've been doing at this point in time, and something from the week at the time this was recorded. So, there we go. YouTube people, do us a favour and subscribe. It's a big thing for the channel, and it's a huge help. So there's that. And if you can get friends and family to do the same, all the better. So there we go. This is CookieCast, the Darkest Timeline podcast. Right, there we go. At this point in time, it's literally start the timer now and see how long it takes until I have to go and settle the baby. But we'll crack on like it's not going to happen and then be pleasantly surprised when it does. Hello. I feel like I've got a bit of a... Just one second. See, I did all the sound setup, I did all the sound checks, I did all the positioning, and then I end up with a frog in my throat. And now I'm hitting the microphone because I'm trying to tie my hair back. So, it is Monday. Doesn't really matter that it's Monday. I keep threatening to myself to put the camera on to make life easier for myself when it comes to coding and doing all that. The video podcasts I've been doing recently are like super easy to do. The audio and the video lines up real nice. I say that now, I should be touching wood. I say that now because you can guarantee next time it's going to be a fucking shit show. Completely lost my train of thought. I was going to sort of say, I feel like I'm in a bad mood. I don't know if that's necessarily true. I feel I'm in a real funk with loads of things. I feel like I don't have time for things, which this podcast will demonstrate a lot of that. I imagine today is going to be a very short affair because I've literally got nothing to talk about. To the point where it's like I've got one thing from the last week and then we're on to like games, movies, TV, all that. I haven't watched any TV. I've watched one film. I've played a handful of games. That's it. We're done. We're out. But I think that in itself shows. I think it's got to the point now where I think I said this last week, and I think I've been saying this for a couple of weeks. I think the remnants of lockdown, because I can't imagine that anybody truly believes lockdown's a thing anymore. The remnants of lockdown, it's got to that point that it's run its course now, and I'm not one of these like open the shops, open the pubs, open the. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is like I've spent time with like a couple of people in the last week, socially distanced, and I think in some ways that's made it worse. Like you live in your little bubble and you live with like your people and you see the same people because those are the people that you can see, and you just get locked into this bubble, and then you step outside of that and you kind of refreshed around how nice it is to see people, other people. So don't have a huge amount this week, and I think that's largely because everything's just become exhausted. You know, talking about stuff to watch, and I am properly like, I ain't got anything to watch. I ain't got any TV stuff that I want to watch. That isn't true, but there's background stuff that you can just put on and have on in the background, and there's stuff that you actually want to sit down and watch. Two very different things, as I'm sure you are aware. I haven't got any background stuff. Films. There are not really any films. Like, I got burnt by all those films. There was all those films that I wanted to watch and rent and stuff like that, and I think it annoyed me, like, all of that stuff. And then there's been a film that's come up recently that I'd quite like to see. That it's Inmate Number One, the Danny Trio story. I'd quite like to see that, but again, I'll have to rent it. And I think I looked at it, and if you want £3.50 from me to rent a movie, you can have it. Honestly, you can have it. But yeah, I think, like, I suppose when we went into this situation, there were people who were like, oh, at least I'll be able to watch that TV show. I went through Breaking Bad again because I've been threatening to do it for ages, and I did it. Job done. Stuff like that. So I feel like things have maybe run their course, while simultaneously still saying, we shouldn't necessarily be opening things back up. I've got this freaking frog thing going on, I know that much. Let's have a drink. So, again, not that it matters. It's my birthday this week. In some ways, in a lot of ways, it's a big birthday. I'm going to turn 40 in 3 days at this point in time. Not birthdays have always been quite a big thing for me. And that comes from my upbringing of, you got stuff at birthdays and Christmas, and that was it. So birthdays and Christmas were big things. As I've got older, certain aspects of birthdays have meant less to me, and other aspects of birthdays have meant more to me. My definition of a good birthday versus my definition of a bad birthday is very different now to 10 years ago, 20 years ago. But yeah, by the next time I do this podcast, I will be 40, and I don't know how I feel about that, other than the fact that in multiple aspects of my life I'm not where I wanted to be by now. I'd sort of said at one point, if I've done this by then I can do that for my birthday. No surprises. Haven't done that. And again, no surprises. What I mean by that is, if I'd have lost enough weight, I could have like a treat on my birthday. That's not happened. As of this morning, when I weighed myself, I have lost no weight. Yeah, it's just one of those things. I just wanted to be in a better place by the time I turned 40, in the hope that I would keep it up. And it's not happened. None of it's happened. And I can tell you a load of excuses right now for why that is. Ultimately, it is what it is, and it is why it is, and that's that. It's not going to change unless I change it. And I don't know if at this point in time I'm in a position to be able to do that. So, there. This is actually a long-winded way of saying the one thing I had on my list to talk about this week is I played golf. As it is at this point in time, once a year I play golf, which I got my clubs, and I got my trolley loaded into the car, and my boots and my jacket and my hat, and like 6 drinks and protein bars, and this is me going to play golf, a man that plays golf once a year, and I had to get there half an hour early to get ready to play golf, because I've got so much stuff and it takes me so long. And there was a point where it was blowing 50-mile-an-hour winds and all that. I had the numbers wise, if I'd have actually added it up, I can safely say that numbers wise I will have had the worst round of golf I've ever played. Enjoyment factor, on the other hand, got to the 15th hole. Is that right? No, got to the 16th hole and was like, holy shit, we've only got 3 holes left. How the hell has this happened? How did we get here? I was proper bummed out that we were coming to the end of the round. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Just me and Thomas Quinn. We played golf. We had bants. He played really well. I played terribly. But one of those did not care at all. Because I had a really nice time. I had a really good time. It's nice to be able to get out there, to be able to say, I'll at least definitely get that one round. And every time I walk away, every time I walk off off the course, I'm like, I should play more. If I played more, maybe I'd be a bit better. And that, it's always the same. Oh man, I should play more. Said to Tom today, I'm having another round of golf. His answer was, I don't know, about a year. So that's that. But because it's my birthday and because it's, I went to do this thing. On my golf bag there is if you become a member at a golf club, you get at the golf club I became a member, they gave you like this thing, and you tie it on your bag, and it's got a year on it, and basically that tells everybody you are a member of that course, and that's that. From what they told us when we joined as members, basically if you're a member the year after, they just put a sticker over the year to update it for the next year. And it's been one of those. There was a point where I was technically classed as a student, and I considered going and renewing my golf membership, because for a normal paying adult at that particular course, it's like £660 or something to be a member. To be a member as a student, it was something like £130. It's worth it just to be a member for a year, but I didn't, because life in it. So I'm looking at this thing, and it's like member of this golf course, and the year's on it, 2012. Like 2012. So just think the weird things about like looking at like 2012 to now, 8 years. It's just the changes in life in those 8 years. 3 children later, a lot more white hair, I want my hair. No. How long did I have my dreads for? Like 5 years or something. I want my facial hair. Let's go with that. Oh, fuck's sake. Not the Rona. I'm trying to clear the sprog. So, I'm kind of looking at this thing and I'm like, it's kind of poignant, I suppose. Like, looking at that and going, that's 8 years ago when I was a member, when I had a time in my life to be a member of golf course. I was playing like 5 times a week when I was a member. No, that's not true. I was playing 5 times a week before I became a member, because the year that I was a member of a golf course, handing the cheque over to the guy and signing up to be a member at a golf course for a year, I joked with the person I signed up with, Phil Walls, who has been on the podcast previously. I was like, hey Phil, tell you what, it's going to be the wettest year in history now that we've become members of a golf course. It wasn't actually the wettest year in history. It was the second wettest year since records began. If that doesn't tell you everything you need to know, I don't know what does. You know, that's that. Second wettest year in history. So, you know, limited opportunities to play. I mean, we still get out there. Like I say, I've got boots and waterproofs, so still went and played. Yeah, you know, you can't write it, I guess. Yeah, I was just looking at this thing and looking and thinking, 8 years and the difference that 8 years makes. Like I say, 3 kids later, 3 kids further down the line, and then that got me thinking, yeah, I'm going to be 40 this week. I've already mentioned it more times in this podcast than I've actually thought about it. You know, people are sort of like, oh, you know, how do you feel about turning 40? I've never been a numbers guy. And by that I mean, you know, the last time I cared what age I was, I cared when I was 10. Big thing, 10, double digits. Can you believe it? Double digits. And then being like, you know, you expect it to be more than it is. So that was that, 10. 16, I'm like, whoa, 16. And now that I think about it, it's like, I wonder why we put so much on 16. What is it you can do at 16? I'm pretty sure you have to be 17 to learn to drive. 18 to drink legally in this country. So what is 16? Why do we put so much on 16? So yeah, remember 16, 18 was, I remember being like, oh man, I'm going to be 18, everything's going to change, I'm going to be 18. And I remember, weirdly, my dad saying to me, alright, so what's going to be different when you turn 18? Well, I'll be 18. Yeah, but what is going to change when you're 18? Well, I'll be able to drink. Legally. Like you drink now. Right? Yeah, but it'll be legal when I do it. And? So that was a bit of a like, oh, you know, I'll be 18, legally an adult, and stuff like that. I remember being 19. 19 was a big year for me. I think 21, I was saying the other day, like 21's the age that I realised, like at 18 I thought I knew everything, at 21 I realised I didn't know anything. And that was it, but I've known people who are like they get to their birthday and they're just like they can't function for like 3 days, the day before, the day of, and the day after. They can't function, and that's not because they're on like massive benders or anything, or like, you know, they're crawling out of one bar and crawling into the next. They can't function because it's like this huge thing. Like, oh my god, I've turned this age. It's like, and what difference is it going to make? What difference? You know, are you going to feel any different to the way you did the day before? Yeah, so I've never been a numbers guy. I think the thing that's hitting me more is I'm going to be 40 and I'm not where I want it to be. And I'm also not where I probably should be. And it's not like a, I don't know, it's not like a career thing. It's not like you know, I've got a house, I've got a car, I've got children, you know. So those milestones, those markers, they're ticked off. I think it's me personally. I think I was on a path at a certain point in time. I was on a path, and I was gonna get in shape, and I was gonna get fit, and I was gonna get healthy, and I was gonna get to a point where I was gonna start working out, and I was going to get, as Robert Franks would say, I was going to get jacked, tan, juicy as fuck, and I was doing it. I was on that path. I was going down that route, and now I stepped on the scales this morning. I was like, cool, I haven't lost any weight. I haven't put any weight on. So that's good. You know, I'm the heaviest I've been for, you know, this is me at this point. I'm just at this weight, and I got off the stairs going, maybe that's just the weight I am. Maybe that's just, you know, maybe I just weigh that much. It's been a real tough couple of weeks, weight wise. I think I feel like I've been robbed. And I know, like, somebody could be listening to this now and thinking, well, just get on and do it and change your life. And it was a big thing to change previously. It was a huge thing. And I started out and I wasn't sure I was going to be able to achieve it, and I got so far. All in all, end to end, I lost 12 stone. For a long time I was like, I've lost 10 stone. But end to end, it was 12 stone. Big achievement. That's more than some full-grown humans weigh. I lost an entire person of weight. And then put half of it back on. No, a little bit less than half. And now I'm just stuck in this thing where I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do about it. It's making me very unhappy. And that in itself should make me do something about it. But apparently it's not. So I'm playing golf. Obviously it's one of those things that, you know, I do this podcast as therapy. And the number of times that I've had intentions of setting out on a path on this podcast and then get to the end and go, well, that took a turn. I didn't set out to have this conversation today. Maybe, I don't know, Maybe this was always going to happen. Who knows? I played golf. Me and Tom, we played golf. But I've already told you all of that. It was good. But maybe that started... Maybe that was the catalyst for this conversation. Looking back over the last 8 years. Because, 2012... I think that's maybe when it kind of started. Not properly. But that's definitely where the idea started. I need to do something. I was horrendous shape. So maybe that was it. Maybe that's why we're having this conversation now. Maybe there's an element of 2012 to now, the ups and the downs and the roller coaster that has happened. Maybe it's that. Who knows? But I'm going to get off this now. It's a little bit too depressing. Speaking of depressing, right. 1, 2, 3. The first 3 things on the list, I'll read them to you. Golf. Pet love, pet hate. I haven't got one. I had one. Can't remember what it was because I didn't write it down at the time. I would say now I'm at about 80% of the time I don't have my phone on me. There have actually been points in time where I've been sat scrolling through Twitter watching Angry Karen videos going, this is not the idea. And I've actually gone and put my phone on the charging stand. The laptop hasn't done that thing for ages and I still don't trust it. I got no pet love, pet hate this week. And then the third thing on the list is 3D pen. Yeah, I haven't done any. There's a big part of me that's like, you need to get on and do some things. You need to do some of the stuff that you said you were gonna do at the start of all of this pandemic stuff. And I haven't done it. So, let's move on to... This would be the point where I'd tell you what TV show I've been watching. And I remembered what my pet hate was. Don't matter. I haven't watched any TV shows. But it got to the point when it was really, really warm, I couldn't put the TV on in the should we call it a man? Let's call it a man cave, games room, podcast studio, home, the cinema. Let's just go. Let's call it the man cave and be done. I saw a term for a lady version of a man cave, but now I can't think of it. Was it Lady Lair? No, because man cave is no. Anyway, so when it was super warm, I couldn't put the TV on because it just got too warm in here. So I watch you put Netflix on, it's like TV, PlayStation, all running. It's hot as balls. So I started getting my phone and putting podcasts on. Right, give me a second because if I don't, and that was a double thing because it gives me the opportunity to pick up my bracelet because my bracelet was in my jeans and I get a little bit antsy if I'm not wearing my bracelet because it's got all my girls on, hasn't it? else all that nonsense. What was I saying? I was listening to podcasts, which was like a double bubble kind of thing. I have got the single biggest backlog of podcasts you could imagine. I just wasn't getting through them. It was taking me like 3 weeks to listen to one podcast. It was ridiculous. Now, as of today, I am officially caught up with Two Bears, One Cave, and by that I mean I have actually watched, stroke listened to everything bar the last 3 episodes maybe. I like to have a little buffer, so I'll leave like a couple or whatever. So I've flipped back to Bill Burr because I've got a shit ton of those. Let's not forget he does 2 podcasts a week. Not that I can talk. But that just increases, like that doubles the sort of backlog every week. And if you're not listening to them, you just quickly get in a backlog. So I will switch back to Bill Burr this evening for workout time. My phone has done this amazing thing where it's gone, do you want all the Bill Burr podcasts from 2017 to current? No, I've listened to them all. What I think you mean is absolutely, and it has decided to add all Bill Burr podcasts from 2017 up to current. So every time I go into the podcast section on my phone, I like delete a few, but it's going to take weeks to delete them all. So I've been catching up on podcasts. With Two Bears, One Cave, it ticks 2 boxes because you can put the YouTube video on, and then you're watching, stroke listening, stroke whatever. So it ticks like the double wall, innit? Get caught up on your podcasts and something on in the background. Win-win. So I've got no TV as such to report, but like I say, get yourself a video podcast, like, you know, a cookie cast maybe. I watched a movie, so it's a bit of a weird one. This is a film I've seen before and have reviewed before. Not that long ago, 6 months ago, I reviewed this film, so in some ways fairly current. Yes, I think I possibly have a different review seeing it again. The film I watched was Fast and the Furious, Hobbs and Shaw, I think is the full title. Pretty sure I've taken it back downstairs. So, Fast and the Furious franchise. We've come a long way from the first Fast and the Furious. You know, I think there's 9 of them, 8 of them, and then they're doing a 9th. One of those. They've got more elaborate, more far-fetched. Dwayne Johnson's come into it. Jason Statham's come into it. And then there was all this about them doing this spin-off that was just Dwayne Johnson, Jason Statham. There was a lot of griping about it. I think Vin Diesel wasn't overly impressed. I know Tyrese Gibson was very vocal about the whole situation. I watched it on New Year's Eve late, and I think I was falling asleep, kind of. I saw the whole thing, but I think my eyes were heavy. And I think I gave it I mean, you'll probably know, you might know better than me. I think I gave it an okay review. So Saturday night comes round, me and Len like, you know, I haven't watched film for a while, let's watch film. I rattled off a list of stuff that I'd quite like to watch. A lot of it was like watch again stuff. And out of that she was like, well, I haven't seen Hobbs and Shaw. I was like, no, you haven't, because you said you didn't want to watch it. No, I'll watch it. You know when you put a film on and somebody else hasn't seen it, and 5 minutes in you're like, this was a mistake. So I'm going to do a very quick re-review of that film. Firstly, too long. It suffers from the Bad Boys 2 thing, where they kind of get to a point where they could have wrapped up the film and then instead they go to a different country. It's too long. I remember my criticism, whatever, from the first one about the whole transforming motorbike that made absolutely no sense. I still stand by that now. I have no idea what the purpose of that motorbike transforming, other than the fact that it suited that specific incident. So that in itself would mean, it doesn't make any sense. The other really weird thing is, there's a point where there's a helicopter flying, and there's an actual transformer noise when the helicopter's flying. It's like, that helicopter isn't a transformer, why is it making the noise? Odd. The other thing is, that film would be so much better if they knocked some of the cheese off it. There are lines in that film that are completely unnecessary because it's just cheese. It's just cheesy, corny, not needed lines. And if those lines weren't there, the film would be so much better. Now I'm starting to get the feeling that this was the same review I gave last time. This is why you shouldn't watch films again and then re-review them. And that, ultimately, what I'm saying is, I watched a film that I've seen before and I've reviewed before, but if I don't tell you about it, then I haven't got anything to tell you. That's the sort of situation we're in right now. I've got a whole host of films. I saw something earlier this evening that I was like, something, I fancy watching. I fancy doing a Chow Yun Fat sort of film session, maybe. I've still got El Camino to watch. I've still got Turbo to watch. And there was all those films that I really wanted to see, but whatever. So yeah, Hobbs and Shaw, not the best film, if I'm honest. Right, let's get into some games stuff. Some interesting stuff with games this week. Oh, excuse me. I finished The Last of Us Part 2. Two things about this. Number one, I didn't like the end. Playing the end of that game made me feel incredibly uncomfortable. I don't know if that was the idea. Part of me thinks that maybe it was. I just didn't want to do it. It's press this button, attack this person. And I was just like, for the story that you've built, for the way you've built that story, for the way you've put the game together, this feels completely out of place and it feels wrong. As expected, I finished it and that's that. It's a 7.5 for me as a game goes. I'd maybe give it a 7.8. I don't feel it's a 7 and I don't feel it's an 8. And I know I've spoken to Sam about this. I know he would be like, you don't need integers, but this really does feel like it needs integers. It's not a 10 out of 10 game and it's not a 0 out of 10 game, so anybody that's giving it that, I would question why. I've done huge reviews on this. I've reviewed it on here and I've done massive reviews of this game on the Gameskeeper podcast, which if you have any interest and you haven't already seen, do go and check it out. And it's certainly more up to date. That's weekly and released weekly. So, maybe check that out if you want a full-blown review. The other thing about The Last of Us Part 2 is probably the darker side of it, and that's the stuff that isn't actually the game. I've been trying to follow, or I'm not trying, I just have been following the stuff that's been going on Twitter with the lady that plays one of the characters in Last of Us Part 2. I'm trying to keep it vague because I know that there are spoilers out there in the world, but if you haven't played it and you've managed to avoid those spoilers, then I don't want to be the person that spoils it for you. And I don't know if it's the game director or if it's like the head of Naughty Dog or something. Neil Druckmann or something. Both of them have been just getting a tirade of abuse on Twitter. And I was talking about this evening, and I was saying, the weird thing to me about it is that unless all these people that are being abusive on Twitter have gone out there and created fake Twitter accounts, they're using their own accounts to abuse people on Twitter. And the stuff they're saying is horrific. Surely they're going to get into trouble for that. It's very baffling to me that people would do that. From my perspective, my point of view, it's completely uncalled for, it's completely unnecessary. If you don't like the game, don't play it. And if you bought it and you don't like it, trade it in. I know that might be difficult at this point in time, but put it to one side and then trade it in when you can. Outside of that, there's a lot in the world right now that I just do not have the time or patience for. Seems to come around quick again. It's not the best game ever made. They made a series of choices, and I'm talking gameplay choices. I don't want to talk anything to do with the characters. They made gameplay choices that I don't agree with. The story is... There's too much of a story. They've lent too heavily on the story. It's a good story, but it detracts from the game and the gameplay. The gameplay is good when it's good. When it's press this button and that's the first time you've pressed a button in the last 20 minutes. That's not what you want from a game. So those are my complaints about the game. Outside of that, I honestly do not care about the rest. So that's it. That's it. I'm done. I'm not talking about anything else. It's not the only game I finished this week. I finished Batman Arkham Knight. I say finished it. I finished it so that you get like, you know, the first ending. I've never had the other ending because I've never had the inclination to do the rest. I'm not going to do all the Riddler trophies. It's just not going to happen. Hands down, not going to happen. When I played it the first time, I'm pretty sure my completion of the first playthrough is 96%. And that was fine. That was enough for me. My second playthrough was 86%. I'm pretty sure this playthrough was like 70% or something. Because I've played it so many times, I don't feel like I need to go and, you know, do all the little side missions and stuff. Ultimately, it was something to play that I wanted to just stick on and play. So I finished Arkham Knight. Something that I'd installed whilst playing Arkham Knight was Spider-Man. I wanted to play Spider-Man. So having finished Arkham Knight, I reinstalled Spider-Man because I'd had to take it off to free up some space, so on and so forth. That got it installed, ready to rumble, put it on. I was like, oh man, I wanted to do New Game Plus, but start a new Game Plus game, and that didn't seem to be an option that I could easily find. So I was like, well, I've got a save there that's only like 30% done or something. I'll just play from there. Started playing, and I don't think I've ever lost interest in a game faster than I lost interest in that. Spider-Man's a great game. It really is. But for all the reviews, all the times I reviewed that game, one thing stood out above everything else. For everything that is good about that game, the MJ bit and the Miles Morales bit are awful. They detract from that game so much. They are painful to have to play. I think I've been playing it about 15 minutes before I got an MJ bit, and I tried it once and I didn't do it, and I'm like, no, I'm done, I'm out. Turned it off. I feel like I put something else on, but for the life of me I can't think what that would be. I've got another game here that is kind of a bit of a I saw a trailer this evening, and I'm sure it's something that me and the Gameskeeper will talk about this week, because I saw a trailer and for the first time in a long time I was genuinely excited for a game. Saw a trailer for Shadow Warrior 3. The trailer itself is so completely tongue-in-cheek. It's like, yeah, that's what we need right now. I know it's a sequel to a franchise, another sequel, but in this instance I don't care. So there was that. Since watching that trailer, I have already installed Shadow Warrior 1, and I set Shadow Warrior 2 downloading before having to turn the PlayStation off to start recording this podcast. So I'm going to try and play those. Thoroughly enjoyed the first one, but it's quite dated. And the second one, could never find a physical copy of the second one. I think it was only ever released digitally, and I bought it digitally. What I remember from playing it is it's really, really, really long. And unfortunately, not really in a good way, is what I remember about that game. So we'll see how we get on with those, but I just wanted to make a bit of a mention about that. VR. I've been really enjoying VR recently. That might be a surprise to some people. That might not be a surprise to others. Really enjoying the VR. Apart from the fact that I'm still doing Thrill of the Fight as the boxing that I do as part of my workout. I've managed to get to the second from top difficulty, but I'm really struggling with the opponents I'm coming up against at the moment. It's just like they hit you twice and they knock you out, sort of thing, and it's like, that's not what we're looking for. I keep going back to it, and eventually I manage to beat people, but struggling like this the way I am, it's really demoralising, because it's just completely unfair. It's not fair, and that's an issue. I've been playing Arizona Sunshine again. Love that game. Love it a lot, enough to play multitude of times. Something that's been interesting is there's been some different guns added to it. I knew they'd added. There's supposedly two-handed weapons in it, but I've played it a few times. I played it a couple of times since that update, and I've never had two-handed weapons, other than like the sniper rifles that are dotted about through the game. But there has been a shotgun. I've picked up a shotgun, but that's a one-handed shotgun. So can't comment. Still super enjoyable game. Really, really fun. I just love it. I just love playing that game. I also keep going to back to that mission on that level on Pistol Whip. It's super hard, but it's loads of fun. That's why I keep going back to it, because it's so much fun. And Sorrento, still going back to Sorrento, still playing it, still enjoying it. You can look at that game and say that it's possibly one of the single most repetitive games there's ever been, and I'll tell you that's fine because I still enjoy it. So yeah, I am super enjoying the VR. There was a part of me way back when, before I got it, that there was a part of me I was like, what if it's going to be another one of these fads? You know, what if it's another Kinect or another Wii or something? What I can say at this point in time is that isn't the case. I'm still playing it and I'm still enjoying it. I'm looking forward to playing more in the future. So yeah, those are the games I've been playing. As far as working out's concerned, I've not really been talking about working out that much because ultimately all I was saying was I'm still working out 5 times a week, and that was that. And I stopped talking about running because I've not been going. I'm supposed to be going on Wednesday to do some hill sprints, so we'll see how that goes. This evening I did my workout and then I increased 1, 2, 3. I increased the weight on 3 of 5 things. However, the other day, yesterday, I'd increased one of the others. Anyway, so out of the 5 things I've got, which is like includes curly bar bench press, narrow grip curls, dumbbells, and a tricep bar. Of the 5 things I've got over the last 2 days, I've increased the weight on 4 of the 5. Some quite significant jumps as well. Bench press has gone up 10 kilos. I do not know what that's going to be like. That might be too much, but we'll see. And a couple of the others, it's a bit like, is that too much? We'll see. You know, same old. I'm still doing it. I'm still doing 5 days a week. I've got that down. I don't know what difference it's making, if any, but it's more than not. Still doing press ups, still doing kettlebell. It's just the running. The running's missing. But I'm hoping I can sort of kickstart that and get back to doing that. So yeah, that is it for this week. I know I said that this one would be a shorter one, and from the numbers I can see from here, I don't believe it is. So that's sticking true to form, isn't it? Sorry about all the, I don't know, depressing stuff. Like I keep saying, a lot of this is therapy at the end of the day. So you know, if you need an apology, I apologise. Otherwise, cheers for sticking with me, and I'll speak to you next week. Bye. So there we go. What do you think's that? Another one done. Oh, where does the time go? YouTube peeps, do subscribe. It's a big thing for us, and yeah, maybe a little thing for you. So, you know, look at it that way. Everybody jump over to cookiecast.com, see what we've got going on over there. You can send us social media and email love, which is nice. So yeah, give that a whirl. So there we go. That's it for this one. Till next time, I'm going to say bye, and I'll see you then.